Yes. Good evening to you all members. Hope I'm very clear. Someone to confirm that I'm clear. Then we start.
So you're clear.
You are clear.
Okay. Yeah. So today we are looking at cash books.
Clear.
We shall look at cash books today. That is our topic for today. We are looking at cash books. We need to really understand what a cash book is, what are the different types of cash book. Of course, we have several types of cash books, but then after we shall see how to prepare all these cash books one by one. We shall see how to prepare all these cash books one by one. If I'm to ask, what is a cash book? What is a cash book? Someone to help us to explain what a cash book is. What is a cash book?
Yes, Sime Pasco.
Yes, Pascal.
Yes, it is a book of original entry where cash transactions are recorded.
A cash book is a book of original entry where cash transactions are recorded. Thank you, Pascal.
Yes.
Any other idea about what a cash book is? A cash book. Who else can explain what a cash book is? Yes.
A cash book is a financial record that records all cash transactions of a business.
A financial record that records all cash transactions of a business. Okay. Brian Mwanje, I see you're very clear on YouTube. Okay. Thanks for watching. Now, a cash book, we are going to see, previously we have looked at what we call the books of prime entry, or what we call the books of original entry. And we say that a cash book is one of those books of original entry, or one of the books of prime entry. Now, when you look at a cash book, we use it to record cash inflows of the business as well as the cash outflows. So as someone has said, that it's a book of prime entry or a book of original entry that records the cash receipts and payments of a business. That is a cash book. Now, these cash books are essential financial records that we use to record or to track the business's cash inflows and cash outflows. So the cash book records the cash we receive and then the cash that is paid out. That is the cash book. So these cash books provide a detailed overview of the company's cash transactions, helping to ensure the accuracy and maintain of the financial control of the business. So as we have said, that a cash book is a book of original entry that records cash inflows and outflows, or cash receipts and payments. We have different types of cash books. We have different types of cash books. One of the cash books is a single column cash book. So we have what we call a single column cash book. We have what we call a two-column cash book. Then we also have what we call a three-column cash book. And then there is what we call a petty cash book. Those are the three types of cash books which we have. Now we need to know what is a single column cash book, what is a two column cash book, what is a three column cash book, and then what is a 30 cash book. Members online, those on YouTube and then those on Zoom, what is a single column cash book? Who can briefly explain what a single column cash book is? A single column cash book.
A single column cash book?
Yes, Pascal.
Yes. Yes, a single column cash book. It is a book of original entry which has only one column which records cash only. It does not show either where we have deducted for, or there is a bank transaction. For it has only one column, and it is for only cash.
Thank you, Pascal. That a
Thank
single column cash book only looks at cash transactions. It only looks at cash transactions. So on either sides of the cash book, that is the debit and the credit side, there will only be one column that records the cash transactions. On the debit, you will record the cash receipts. On the credit, you will record the cash payments. That is a single column cash book. Then we have what we call a two-column cash book. What is a two-column cash book? Those on YouTube, you can use the chat box to send your messages. I'll read them. Yes, what is a two-column cash book? A two-column cash book. Yes. What is a two-column cash book? Can I explain what a two-column cash book is?
Can I try, Mr. Senior?
Pascal, someone else should try. Give chance to someone else, unless you're going to get something.
Okay.
Yes. Two-column cash book members. Is the coordinator on, Emmanuel? Two-column cash book.
Can I try?
Yes, Richard, you can.
A two-column cash book is a book of original entry that is used to record both cash and bank transactions.
Thank you, Richard. That when it comes now to the two-column cash book, it records both cash and bank transactions. It records both cash and bank transactions. Unlike the single column cash book, which only records cash transactions, the two column cash book records both cash and bank transactions of the business. Yes, Priscilla, I see your hand raised. Priscilla, you can say something. Priscilla?
A two-column cash book is a simple and widely used format for recording cash transactions.
A simple and widely used format for recording what? I beg your pardon, Priscilla, for recording. For recording cash transactions. Okay. Simple.
For recording cash transactions.
Okay, for recording cash transactions. Thank you, Priscilla. Yes, we can use a two-column cash book, but of course, the two-column cash book records both cash and bank transactions. Okay, it records both cash and bank transactions. So it has separate columns for the cash receipts and the cash payments. Then it also has a separate column for the bank deposits or the bank receipts, as well as the bank withdrawals. That is a two-column cash book. It has a column for cash and bank on the debit side, as well as cash and bank on the credit side. So the two-column cash book, you have two columns on either side of the cash book that we use to record amounts. That is both cash and bank. Now, this two-column cash book makes it very clear and makes it easy to track the movement of the funds in and out of the business. In and out of the business. It offers a more organized way to track both cash and bank transactions, and it is commonly used by all businesses as long as they also have bank transactions and the cash transactions. So the suitable cash book they can use is a two-column cash book. Then from the two-column cash book, we have what we call a three-column cash book. We have what we call a three-column cash book. What is a three-column cash book, members? What is a three-column cash book? Those on YouTube, share your messages here in the chat. I read them. I see Brian is on. Yes, a three-column cash book. What is a three-column cash book, members? Yes, who can try out to explain what a three-column cash book is? Three-column cash book, members. Anyone try out to explain what a three-column cash book is?
Hello.
Yes, Richard. Richard, let's give chance to someone else to try. Members, participate. What is a three-column cash book? Louis, your own, Barbara, Arena, Kathy, Dorothy, Emma. Emma, our coordinator, is also on. Yes, a three-column cash book. There is something in the chat box here. What do we have? Precede a three-column cash book is a type of cash book used in accounting that records transactions involving cash, bank, and discounts. Thank you, Priscilla. Thank you so much, Priscilla. Coordinator Emma, I see your own. What is a three-column cash book? Three-column cash book. Okay, Brown, Rose, number 12. Three-column cash book, members. Who can explain? Thank you, Priscilla. Yes, try.
Yes.
Yes, okay, Brown, try.
It's a book of original entry that records cash, bank, and discounts.
Book of original entry that records cash, bank, and discounts. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, when it comes to a three-column cash book, it has three columns that records amounts on either sides of the cash book, that is debit and credit. So it has the cash column, it has the bank column, as well as the discounting column, as well as the discounting column. That is a three-column cash book. Yes, Amos, thank you so much. I've seen your message here on YouTube that it just includes a discount column and the rest are like for a two-column cash book. Thank you, Amos. So that is a three-column cash book. It has the cash column, the bank column, and then the discount column on either sides of the cash book. So we have three different columns that we use to record, the amounts. So it's particularly useful for businesses that frequently deal with the bank transactions, cash transactions, and discounts. Then petty cash. What is a petty cash book? We also have a petty cash book. Members, what's a petty cash book? What is a petty cash book?
It's a book of original entry that records small payments.
Book of original entry that records small payments. Good. Thank you. Thank you for that. Petty cash book is a specialized cash book used to record small, minor cash expenses. Used to record minor cash expenses. Normally, it is designated. It is often maintained by a designated paid cash custodian. So there will be a custodian who will be responsible for the petty cash, known as a petty cashier, known as a petty cashier. So those are the types of cash books. Therefore, single column cash book, two column cash book, three column cash book, and the petty cash book. Those are the four main types of cash books. Some messages in the chat box. Yes, discounts received and discount allowed for the three column cash book. That is Grace. Thank you so much for your contribution. Juma cash book for small payments. I think that is for the petty cash book. Thank you so much. Those are the four types of cash books. Now, today we are strictly looking at a two-column cash book. Today we are strictly looking at a two-column cash book. We have already said that a two-column cash book consists of cash column and the bank column. In fact, when we look at a two-column cash book, it combines both the cash account. It combines both the cash account and the bank account. Those two accounts are put together in one book known as a two-column cash book. Now, in the cash book, the debit column for cash is put next to the debit column for bank. The debit column for cash is put next to the debit column for the bank, as we are going to see. Then the credit column for cash is put next to the credit column for bank. That is on the credit side of the cash book. Remember, the cash book has two sides. It has the debit as well as the credit side. So on each side of the cash book, there will be a cash column as well as a bank column. The bank column contains details of the payments made by check and those direct transfers from the bank account, and then it also records the money that has been received and paid out and paid into the bank account. That is the bank column of this cash book. We have an illustration here. You see, we have an illustration how a two-column cash book looks like. So that is its format. That is its format. That is the format of a two-column cash book, as you can see. So we have the debit side. The debit side records. The debit side records. You receive the request recorded to the cloud. Okay, let me accept the request. But of course, we are unable to start cloud recording. Anyway, the video, the lecture will be always there on YouTube, so you can watch it from YouTube. Not recorded on my computer because of the space. But the recording will be there on YouTube, so you can access the lecture anytime on YouTube. Say someone who's trying to request for the permission to record. My cloud storage is full, and even the computer storage is also full. But the recording will be there on YouTube. Okay, now this is the format of a two-column cash book. This is the format of a two-column cash book. This is the format of the two-column cash book. The format of the two-column cash book. So we have the debit side as well as the credit side, as you can see. We have the debit side as well as the credit side. On the debit side, you see we have the debt. We have the debt. Then you also have the description. There is a description. Then we have a column for, we have a column for VN. We have a column for VN. There is a column for VN. There is a column for PR. There is a column for cash. There is a column for bank. So those are the two columns that we use to record the amounts. Those are the two columns we use to record the amounts on the debit. Then on the credit, we still have the same columns as on the debit. There is debt, there is description, there is VN, there is PR, there is what? There is cash, and then there is also bank, and then there is also bank. Those are the different columns which we have. The cash book has the debit side as well as the credit side, just like any other cash book. It has the debit side as well as the cash, side. Sorry, as well as the credit side. It has the debit as well as the credit, as well as the credit, side. Now we come to ask, what is the meaning of VN and PR? Who can help us with what does VN stands for, and then what does the PR stands for? Anyone who has an idea about what the VN is and then the PR? Yes, those online, Zoom and then YouTube. VN,
Yes,
PR, yes.
Pastor, let me try.
Okay, Pastor.
Yes, senior. VN is the voucher number.
Okay.
VN is the voucher number.
Yes, Pastor.
Then PR is
You can try out
That one I did.
VN, PR. Okay, Pastor. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pastor. Yes, members. VN, PR. Who can try out? Yes. VN, PR.
This is the receipt
Let me
number.
try again.
Yes, okay, Pastor.
Let me try again.
Okay.
VN is the voucher number. Then
Okay.
PR is payment reference.
Payment preference. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you for that for the trial. Members on YouTube, I see the number is increasing on YouTube. Hey, you can say something. What is VN? VN is short for what? And then PR. VN, PR. Now, when it comes to okay, yes, someone else try out.
VN is voucher number.
Yes, Florence.
Then the PR is the purchase receipt.
Purchase receipt. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And,
Someone else.
yes.
Yes, Kim Brown.
Yes, I think PR refer to posting reference.
PR refers
PR
to
sometimes,
posting.
yeah, sometimes maybe you call it folio.
Okay, sometimes referred as for you. Thank you so much. There is some
Let me
chat
try.
box. Yes, yes, you can try.
VN is a voucher number,
Okay.
while PR is a purchase requisition.
PR is a purchase requisition. Okay. Thank you. Everyone was participated, was contributed. Dorothy, VN is voucher number. Okay. Thank you so much. Now, VN, as you have said, VN is the abbreviation for voucher number. VN is the abbreviation for voucher number. Now, when we look at accounting, we have what we call a voucher. Remember, when we are looking at the books of, when we are looking at the source documents, we talked about a voucher, and we say that a voucher is a document that supports a transaction and it provides details such as the date, the payee, the amount, and the purpose of the payment. So when we use the column for VN, then VN will be a unique identifier assigned to each voucher. So each voucher will be given a code, okay, or an identification number. Okay, each voucher will be given a number that we can call a unique identifier that is assigned to that voucher for the purposes of tracking and replacing it in the accounting system. So VN, that can be a voucher number, as we've said. Then when it comes to PR, someone talked about folio column. Someone talked about a folio column. PR, we can look at it as a posting reference. PR, that is a posting reference. So in the column of PR, we normally record reference numbers or codes that are used to identify a specific transaction, okay? That are used to specify a specific transaction. This PR, the PR reference or the reference number or the code, we use them to link the related transactions together, such as the journal entry and then its corresponding ledger posting. So VN, that is voucher number, which is what? Which is we have said that the VN, that is a voucher number, and we have said that it is a unique identifier number that is assigned to each voucher. Then PR, that is posting reference. And sometimes you may find that instead of using VN and PR, you may just find there one column which is known as the folio column. So PR can also be referred to as the folio column because even the folio column we use it for reference purposes. Okay. So in this cash book, there has to be a column for you can just use one column, which is the folio column, or if you have the voucher number and then the posting reference numbers, then you can still use the two. Alternatively, you can just use one column, which is the folio column. Okay, so that is two column cash flow. Those are the details, just the receipt side and then the payment side. Now we have some important points to remember while making entries in a two-column cash book or what we call a double-column cash book. We have some important points to remember while making entries in a two-column cash book. In a two-column cash book. What are those important points? Now, when it comes to recording cash transactions, all cash receipts are recorded. All cash receipts are recorded. All cash receipts are what? All cash receipts are recorded in the cash book. all cash receipts are recorded in the cash book. All cash receipts are recorded in the cash book. On the debit side, so if a business receives cash, that cash is going to be debited in the cash column of the cash book. Then, of course, for the cash payments, for them, they will be recorded in the cash column on the credit side of the two-column cash book. They will be recorded in the cash column of the two-column cash book on the credit side. Then, what else? If the cash is received from a debtor, if the cash is received from the debtor or the customer and deposited directly into the bank account on the same date, the entry will be made in the bank column on the debit side, not in the cash column. So if cash is received from the debtor and that cash is directly deposited into the bank account on the same date, then the entry will be made in the bank column on the debit side, not in the cash column. Not in the cash column. So that is how we record the cash transactions. Then, recording bank transactions. How do we record the bank transactions? When it comes to bank transactions, when a check is received, when you receive a check and you deposit it into the bank on the same date, the amount of the check is entered in the bank column on the debit side. When you receive a check and you deposit in the bank account on the same date, then the amount of the check is entered in the bank column on the debit side of cash flow. When a check is issued, the amount of the check is entered in the bank column on the credit side. So if you issue out a check, then you report that amount on the bank column on the credit side of the cash. From recording bank transactions, of course, now we move to what we call contra entries. We have what we call contra entries. Now, what is a contra entry? Who can tell us? What is a contra entry when it comes to cash books? What is a contra entry when it comes to cash books? Yes, those are on YouTube, those on Zoom. What is the contra entry? What is a contra entry when it comes to cash book transactions? Yes, who can
May I
explain what the this is who? But Rose, you've answered most of that. You've contributed a lot. I want someone at least to also try. Okay. Yes, members, those on YouTube, you can use the chat box. You send your messages. Yes, someone else to try. What is a contra? What are contra entries in reference to cash books?
Let me try.
Yes, Emma.
Contra entry is an entry which appears both in the bank and at the cash. It can affect the cash and then the bank.
It affects the cash and then the bank. Thank you, Emmanuel. Yes, Caleb, contra entry involves both cash and bank accounts. Thank you so much, Caleb. Yeah, when we look at the contra entry, it involves a cash account and a bank account for the very same transaction. So your cash account and the bank account are affected by that transaction. So an entry is made in the cash account and then an entry is made in the bank account, same amount for that very same transaction. The contra entry is an entry that involves a cash account and a bank account, and which is recorded on both the debit and the credit side of the double column cash book at the same time. So a contra entry, this is where you find that both the debit and the credit entries are made in the same cash book at the same time. So you debit your cash book, but at the same time you credit your cash book with the same amount. So that is a contra entry. That is a contra entry. Contra entry transaction. They're telling us the entry is not posted to any ledger account. The entry is not posted to any ledger account because both the debit and credit aspects of the transaction are handled within the cash book. Remember, after entering the transaction to the cash book, you have to come up with the different relevant ledger accounts in the general ledger. But when it comes to a contra entry transaction, you don't make any entry in any other ledger because the debit and the corresponding credit entries have all been made through the cash book. Now, in the posting reference, in the PR, remember we talked about the PR, or sometimes you can call it in the folio column, okay? Sometimes you can say in the folio column. In the folio column. So in the posting reference column or the folio column, the letter C, capital C, the letter C is written to denote that the entry is a contra entry. So whenever you see capital C in the column for folio or in the posting reference column, when you see capital C, then just know that there was a contra entry. Okay, there was a contra entry. So that entry will not be posted to any ledger account. The contra is made in the current circumstance. Members, which examples of transactions will give rise to a contra entry? Which type of transaction will give rise to a contra entry? Yes, Stephen Aku, thank you so much. I say contract entry refers to the formal documentation or records. Okay, thank you, Steve. Yes, members, which examples of transactions will give rise to a contract entry? Examples of transactions that give rise to contra entry. Who can try? Or someone else? Not Pascal, not Rose, not Emma. Members, what is a contra entry? So the examples of transactions that give rise to contra entries. Those on YouTube, you can try out. Yes, members here. Examples of those transactions that can give rise to contra entry. Yes, anyone try? Louis, you've already contributed. Kathy, Barbara, Dorothy, Joy, yes, Joseph, Jovia, Juma, Alexi, Pamela, yes. Examples of those transactions that give rise to contra entries.
There is
Yes.
bank reconciliation.
Bank what?
Reconciliation.
Bank reconciliation? Not really, not really. Examples of transactions that
Let me try.
give Emma, okay, Emma, you can try. Coordinate, okay, it's okay. Florence, not bank
Can I
reconciliation.
try?
Okay.
Okay, yes, you can try.
Cash
Cash paid
deposited
into
to
the
bank.
That is Richard, Emma.
Emma first.
Cash deposited to bank.
Let
Now,
one
Richard.
person. Okay, let one person speak. Then, okay, Richard. Yes, Richard.
Cash withdrawn from bank.
Cash withdrawn from the bank. Can you explain more about that? which account will be debited and which account will be credited. Explain more about that. Richard.
Yes.
Explain more.
In that scenario, cash withdrawn from bank, you debit cash column, and then you credit bank column.
Okay, I'm seeing messages here. When cash is received at bank, can you please be putting the question? This is Joseph on the chat. Some of us. Okay, Joseph, deposit of cash to the bank account. Yes. So whenever you see that, okay, we have those examples of transactions here. When cash is deposited into the bank, when cash is deposited into the bank. So you see, this transaction affects both cash and the bank. This transaction affects both your cash and bank. Bank. Deposit cash is going to be debited, but basically the bank column will be credited. You'll make a credit cash column of the cash book. Then when cash is withdrawn from bank for business use, when cash is withdrawn from bank for business use, that is also an example of a contra entry. When cash is withdrawn from the bank for business use, that's also an example of the contra. That is also an example of the contra entry. Your cash and the bank columns will be affected in the cash flow. There is something important here, that the contra entry is made only when the cash is withdrawn for business use, members. When you're withdrawing money from the bank for private use, that is not a contra entry. When you're withdrawing money from the bank for business use, that is not a contra entry. Sorry, for private use. If you withdraw money from the bank for private use, or if you withdraw cash from the business for private use, that is not a contra. Contras arise if you're withdrawing cash purposely for business use. If it's for private use, that is not a contra. That is not a contra. Use of folio columns in the cash book. We have already looked at folio columns, and we said that sometimes they can also be referred to as posting references. They can be referred as posting references. Deposits of cash to the bank account. Thank you, Alex. Yes. Okay. Grace. Okay. The folio column, we have already said that it can also be referred as the posting reference, that is the PR column. This column is used for entering reference numbers. It's used for entering reference numbers. More information about transactions is needed, and this is given by using the folio columns. Okay. For example, an entry for receipt from cash from Sikeri, whose account was on page 45 on the sales ledger. You see, page 45 on the sales ledger. Page 45 on the sales ledger. And the cash recorded on page 37 on the cash book would have the following folio entries. In the cash book, the folio column will be having sales ledger 45. So this is the reference number which you can enter in the folio column. Then the sales ledger, I will show the folio column entry as cash book page 37. So I show that as CB 37. Okay. So if I want to find out more about that transaction, I will just go to my cash book on page 37. Then I find out more details about that transaction. So those are the folio column entries. Okay, all the posting reference entries. We use those columns for recording the page numbers from the different books or ledgers for those specific transactions. Now, balancing and posting a double column cash book or a two column cash book or two column cash book. Remember that cash book has to be balanced. It has to be balanced. How do we balance? So both the cash column and the bank column of the double column cash book are totaled and balanced at the end of the appropriate period. So still in this lecture, we are going to see how to balance up a cash book. We are going to see how to total it up and then how to balance it up. Each of any contra items, the transfers between bank and cash are being shown on the same page of the cash book. We'll use the letter C for contra in the folio column. We have talked about that. So now we have this example. We have a review question here, which I'm going to use. We have a review question if you are going to use in this remaining hour to see how we can prepare a two column cash book. To see how we can prepare a two column cash book. Now, members, get your notes. Get your notes. Check where you have two column cash book. I don't know which page is that, but check where you have preparation of two column cash book. Then you will see such that we move together. I believe you have the notes. Let us check on that page. That page where we have the two column cash book. Someone should help us. Which page is that? Where you have two column cash book. We need to do that number there. That is page what?
Page 63. 63.
Members, that you check page 53. That
63, yes.
63. That you check
Yeah.
page 53. That's where we can find. That's where we can find that question. Page 53. Members, confirm that you're all there. Our friends on YouTube, page 53. Members, are we all there? We want to do that question.
There.
You're there.
I'm there.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So we are going to do that number, page 53, two column cash book. It's what we are going to look at. Two column cash book. Someone will read for us this question. Is it? Let me first check and see. Page what? So if someone on YouTube wants to confirm. You said it's page what?
63.
Page 63. Page 63.
Yes.
Remember, let us move to page 63. So who is reading for us the question on page 63?
Pasco. Pasco.
Yes, Pasco. Yes, Pasco.
It is saying, write up a two column cash book for a second-hand bookshop. For a second-hand bookshop from
the following.
Okay, from the following. These are the transactions which we have. These are the transactions which we have. Members, these are the transactions which we have from 1st November 2009. We have different transactions there. As you can see, we are going to enter these transactions in a two column cash book. We are going to enter these transactions in the two column cash book. So let's see how we can do that. Let's see how we can do that. This is a second-hand bookshop. second-hand bookshop. Second-hand bookshop. Okay. This is second-hand. Members, you mute, eh? Second-hand bookshop. To column cash book. For the month. For the month of November. For the month of November 2009. So this is my heading. This is my heading. This is my heading. This is my heading. Remember, we have the debit, that is the R, debit side, where you have column for debt, and then we need a column for the details. We need a column for the folio. Being that it's a two-column cash book, you will need a column for what? You need a column for cash, and then bank. Column for cash, and then bank. So these are the columns which you have. The debits, details. These are the columns which you have. Then on the credits, you still need what? You still need a column for the debt, details, column for the folio, column for cash, then column for bank. Remember, this is your credit side. So you just need to roll out your page. You need a ruler, of course. You need a ruler. You come up with these different columns. So this is our two-column cash book. Now what we have to do is to start entering the transactions one by one. We start entering transactions. We start making the entries in this cash book. The cash and bank columns, we record the amounts that are in shillings. That is our currency. Our presentation of currency is shillings. That is our presentation of currency. So, Emmanuel, the coordinator, you will read for us the transactions. Then we see the entries to make in the cash book. Just one person to read the transactions one by one. Then we see how we can make our postings in the cash book. So Emma, you will be reading first the different transactions one by one. Yes.
Okay, date 1, 1st of November.
Okay.
We have balance
Yes.
brought forward from last month. Cash shillings 295 and the bank shillings 4,240.
Okay. Now this business has been in operation. This second-hand bookshop has been in operation. They have been operating, and we see that at the start of November 2009, they have some balance for cash and bank that is brought forward from the previous what? From the previous period. So we have some cash and bank balances from the previous period. So we record them on the debit. So I'll say 1st November. 1st November 2009. 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 We call that balance brought forward. Okay, that is known as balance. That is known as balance brought forward. So it's what we record in the details column. So balance brought forward. Emma, how much is the balance brought forward for cash?
It's 295.
295. Then bank.
Bank is 4,240.
4,240. That is your bank. That is your bank. Members, the debit side records receipts. But of course, we have to first enter the opening balances. Then after we see the transactions that took place during the month of November. So we have entered the opening balances for cash and bank. Now let us look at the different transactions that took place during the month of November. We move to the next transaction, Emma.
We have cash sales of shillings 310. The
cash sales of shillings 310. That is on 2nd. Members, where do we record that cash sale? Those on YouTube, where do we record that cash sale? Is it a receipt or it's a payment?
Is
Yes.
Is it?
It is receipt.
It is a receipt.
It's a receipt. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Pascal. So it's a receipt. The business received. They received the cash as a result of the sale that was made. So on 2nd November 2009, in the details I write sales. In the details I write sales. Then we record under which column? Cash or bank?
Cash.
Under cash.
Under cash.
Under cash.
Thank you, Caleb. Cash sale is recorded on the debit side. Thank you, Caleb. Cash of how much?
310.
310. Okay. Next transaction. What's the next transaction?
The third took shillings 200 out of the cash till and paid into the bank.
Took shillings 200 out of the cash till and paid it into the bank. So what do we do? And paid it into the bank.
That's a contra entry.
That's a contra entry. So what is increasing and what is reducing?
The till is reducing and the bank is increasing.
Cash is reducing and the bank is increasing.
Cash is reducing and then bank is increasing. So
yes, cash is affected.
Okay, Caleb, cash is affected. So this is a contra. That is on which date?
The third.
That is on 3rd November 2009. So our bank increases because we deposit, we took cash and we deposited in the bank. So here we write cash in the details column. We write cash. Then the folio column I'll put capital what? Capital C, because we say that we use capital C in case there is a contra entry.
For contra entry.
Then in the bank column, how much do we record? How much was deposited?
200 shillings.
That is 200. Being that it's a contra entry, You will also go to the credit of your cash book, same date, 30th November 2009. 2009. Then you say bank. So here the date will be bank. Don't forget to put F, that is for you. So you have to put Contra. Then you show that your cash is reducing. So in this transaction, on the debit side where we have receipts, the entry shows that our bank increased because we deposited the cash on the bank account. Then on the credit, or that is the payment side, our cash reduced. We are printing the cash column of the cash book simply because we got that cash and deposited it on to the business bank account. Okay, that is what it means. So that is how we enter the contras in the cash book. Next transaction, Emma,
is on date 4th of November. F
4th of
Bell
November.
paid us by check. F Bell paid us by check, shillings 194.
Okay, so what do we do?
If they paid us by check, we record under the bank column.
We record under the bank column because the business is receiving money. Okay,
Receiving
but,
money, yeah.
This was by check. That is on which date?
4th of November.
4th November.
Of November. So November 2009. That is F Bell. F Bell. By check, how much?
194.
194.
194. So when you see check, then you'll be using the bank columns to record those checks. Either a receipt or payment, you'll be using the bank one. You'll be using the bank columns. Next transaction
is on the 5th of November.
What happened on the 5th of November?
We paid for postage stamp in cash, shillings 80.
We are paying, so we record on the credit side because payments are recorded on the credit side of the cash book. So on 5th November 2009, postage, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Postage stamps, yeah.
Postage stamps. Okay, postage stamps. How much?
In cash, shillings 80.
Shillings 80 cash. Next transaction.
Next transaction is on date 6. We bought office equipment by check, shillings 310.
Payment or receipt?
Payment. Oh.
It is a payment.
That is office what?
Equipment.
On which date? 6th, eh?
Date 6.
Okay. 6th November 2009. Office equipment.
Equipments.
Equipment. How much? How much?
By check, shillings 310.
310 by check. So recording the bank column 310. Okay, thank you. What next?
Yes.
On the 7th November, we paid L route by check, shillings 194.
We are paying, right?
Yeah, L route.
So we credit the cash flow. So that is which date?
On the 7th.
On the 7th. 7th November 2009. We paid who?
L route. L route. By check.
Route. By check. How much?
94.
94 by check. Okay.
On the 9th November, Received the business rates refund by check. Shillings 115.
Received, that is on which date?
On the 9th.
On 9th. We are receiving, so it's a receipt.
Yeah, business rates refund.
Business rates refunds. Meaning that the business had paid business rates, but they were refunded. So the payment became a receipt after some time. By check or by bank? By cash?
Check. By check.
Okay, by check, how much?
Shillings 115.
115. 115. Okay. That is 115. Then what else?
11th of November, we drew shillings 150 from the bank for business use.
Withdrew shillings 150 from the bank for business use. A contra entry, okay?
Yes.
Cash is increasing, but bank is reducing. So that is on which date?
On the 11th of November.
11th November 2009. So here we write bank. Here we write bank. So write bank. Contra, don't forget that. Then record in the cash column. How much was withdrawn?
Shillings 150.
150. Then don't forget to run the credit to show that there was a decrease in your bank column. That is 11 November. 11 November 2009. That is cash, contra, then bank. So our bank is reducing by 150 simply because of the cash that was withdrawn for business use. Next
is on the 12th. Pay the wages in cash. Shillings 400.
Paid wages in cash. Shillings how much?
400.
Date?
The 12th.
November 2009. Wages, it's a payment, so we put in the cash with wages. How much?
400.
400.
400. Next transaction
is on the 13th. Cash sales shillings 430.
Cash sales. What do we do? Is it a receipt or a payment? Where do we record that?
On the receipts.
Debit side.
This is the receipt.
On the debit side. Okay, let's do that. On which date?
The 13th.
13th. 2009. 2009. You said it's a cash sale, right?
Cash sales, yeah.
So we write sales. How much?
430.
430. Next transaction.
The 14th. Pay the motor expenses by check. Shillings 81.
14th. You're paying. Members, when you're paying, you credit the cash book. Don't forget that. You paid what? Motor expenses.
Motor expenses.
How much?
Shillings 81 by check.
By check. That is bank column. What next?
The 16th. J. Bull lent us shillings 1,500 in cash.
J. Bull lent us. What does that mean? Is it a receipt or it's a payment? Is it a receipt or it's a payment?
It's a receipt.
We are receiving
Is
We
a
have received. So we debit, right?
yes.
Yes.
Debit, we debit, we debit, we debit. Okay. That is on which date?
On the 16th.
On the 16th. 16th November 2009. Who gave them money? Who gave the business money?
Jebul.
Jebul. Jebul. How much?
1,500 in cash.
1,500 in cash.
Mm.
1,500 in cash. Then what next?
On 20th, K. Brown paid us by check shillings 174.
K. Brown is paying by check shillings 170 what?
4.
174. So what does that mean? Is it a receipt or it's
K. Brown paid us,
receipt.
yes.
okay?
We are
This is
receiving.
Jebul.
It is a receipt since we are receiving.
Okay. This of Jebul is a
Loan,
loan.
yeah.
Don't forget.
Is a loan, yeah.
Okay. Then on 20th you said we received from whom?
K. Brown
K.
paid
Brown.
us.
K. Brown paid us. So we are receiving. This is a receipt. K. Brown. How much?
Shillings 174.
That is
By check.
by check. Okay. 174. 174. Then what else do we have?
28. We paid the general expenses in cash.
It's a payment.
That is credit.
That is a credit.
Yes, it's an general expense.
General expenses. How much?
30 shillings 35 in cash.
35 in cash. Then what next?
And then on 30th, paid insurance by check.
30th. 30th November. Paid insurance. By check, how much?
Shillings 320.
Shillings 320. Any other transaction?
No.
Those are the transactions we have. So now what we have to do, we have to balance up this account or this cash book. We have to balance up the cash book. How do we balance up? Now, balancing up, we have to insert the balancing figure on the smaller side. So we have to total up the cash and the bank columns on the debit. We also total up the cash and the bank columns on the credit. You'll find that one of the sides, one of the columns either on the credit or debit for cash and bank will be greater than the other. Will be greater than the other. So on the smaller side, we have to insert a balancing figure, which is normally referred to as a balance carried down to make both sides of the cash book equal. How do we do that? You're going to add the amounts in the column for cash and bank on the debit. Then you also add the amounts in the column for cash on the credit. But you don't put the totals in the cash book. You can note them somewhere. Don't write in your cash book. Note those totals somewhere. Then we see what to do after getting those totals. So sum up your cash column, bank column on either sides of the cash book. Then you write them somewhere. Side, not in the cash book, but somewhere. Then you see how to balance up this cash book. Sum up, sum up, sum up. Members, someone add the cash column, bank column on the debit, and then credit. We need to balance off this cash flow. How much is the total for the cash amounts of the debit?
Okay. The total for the cash debit side.
Okay.
Is 2,000. Debit side total is 2,685 cash.
For me, assuming this is my, let me just note them down here. You said you have how much for cash? What?
2,685 shillings.
Then bank?
Bank is 4,923.
4,923. Then that is debit. Then credit, cash?
Credit cash is 715.
715. This is 715. Then bank?
Bank is 955.
Bank is 955. 955. So which side of the cash book is greater? Debit or credit? You see
debit
that
side is greater.
The debit side is greater. The debit side is greater for both cash and bank. The debit side is greater for both cash and bank. The debit side is greater. So meaning that the credit side is smaller. So what we have to do, we have to insert a balancing figure at the end. You do this at the end of the bank, at the end of the period. You have to insert a balancing figure on the smaller side of the cash book, and the smaller side of this cash book is the credit side. The smaller side is the credit side. So at the end of the month, you come in the date column, you write 30th. 30th. 30th November. 30th November 2009. You say balance.
Carried forward.
We call that balance carried down or carried forward.
Carried down.
Carried down. Okay. Now, what is the balancing figure? Because now what you do, you get the total, because your debit side is bigger, cash and bank. So you get your total cash on the debit minus the total cash on the credit. So that will be 2685 minus 715. 2685 minus 715. That gives us 1,970. Members, confirm that figure. Is that your balancing figure?
Yes, it's correct.
Flow?
It's correct. Yeah, it's correct.
Then for bank, it will be excuse me. Yes, for bank, how much is the balancing figure for bank, Emma?
Bank will be 3,968.
3,968. I'm going to share the screen just briefly. I'm trying to log in, but I'm going to share. Then we see how we can conclude. We see how we can conclude. We see how we can conclude just briefly. Briefly, then I share my screen. It's off. But I think members have come up with the balancing figures. I'm going to share. I'm going to share. Sharing, then we see how we can conclude briefly. Just give me like some few minutes. I'm trying to open up the document. I closed it accidentally. But I'm getting it. Members, have you all submitted your coursework? Eh? Have we all submitted the courseworks?
Yes, sir, we did. Me personally, I did on 20th.
Submitted mine.
Okay, next week I think I'll be sharing the results.
Hey.
So
okay.
You're
Yeah.
done with marking.
Someone is saying the network is poor. No, I'm trying to join in again. Then I share my what? My sketchbook. Then we conclude. Okay. We conclude. Just briefly. So we are trying to balance up our cash book. Trying to balance up the cash book. Those on YouTube, we are back. We are back. We are back. We are back. I went off. Is the coursework marked already? Yes, Emma. Of course, it had to be. I had to mark it. I had to mark it. Okay, Steve, we are back. Steven is talking about the network. We are back. Okay. Insurance was our last. We are trying to balance the cash book. Emma, what was our total on the credit? On the debit for cash? What was our total on the debit cash? Read for me those values again. Someone read for me the values again.
Debit for cash balance.
Cash was
2,685.
685. 2085.
685.
Okay, 2685. Then bank.
Bank 4,923.
Then this side, cash.
715.
715.
This was 715. Then bank.
955.
955.
955.
And we have said that at the end of the what? At the end of the month, we have inserted balancing figure on the smaller one, on the smaller side, and our smaller side is the credit side. So on 30th November 2009, balance carried down for cash, so that we get a total on the bigger side minus the total on the smaller side. We get 1970. Docas, you mute. Docas. Then for bank, you get a total on the bigger side, that is debit, minus your total on the credit, which is 955. You come up with 3,968. So after inserting these balances carried down, then both columns will be having the same totals. Both columns will be having the same totals. So you can now show your totals. Totals should be on the same line as you're going to see. Totals should be on the same line as you're going to see. Totals should be on the same. Totals should be on the same line. 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 So totals come after you inserting the balancing figure, and of course we consider those totals on the bigger side, and they will be the same totals given on the smaller side because you've inserted the balancing figure, which is your balance carried down, to make both sides equal. Okay, make both sides equal. So this is balancing. Totals are on the same line, as you can see. Totals are on the same. Totals are on the same line. Then these balances carried down. The balances carried down are brought forward at the start of the next month. That will be 1st December 2009. So we say balance brought forward. That is the 1970 cash, and then the 3923. Those are your balances. Those are your balances. Those are balances.
68, not to 23. 3968.
this. Okay, that is your cash book members. That is your two-column cash book. That is your two-column. That is your two-column cash book. So we have balanced it off. Now those were the questions you can ask very fast. Sometimes you may be required to post these transactions in the cash book, these entries in the cash book, in the respective ledger accounts to complete double entry. But the question just required us to enter the transactions in the cash book. But in case we are required to post the entries to the respective accounts, then we can still do that. Okay. So you have to come up with the ledger accounts for you to be able to complete double entries. Remember, in accounting, each transaction will be having two different entries, one as a debit and the other as a credit, and the other as a credit, don't forget. But here we're not going to come up with the ledger accounts. Just wanted to see how we can enter the transactions in the cash book. How to enter the transactions in the cash book. So that is our two-column cash book. For that example, on page 60 what? On page 63. There is a question on YouTube. Samuel Angura. Some highlights on the balance carried down and the balance carried forward. He highlights on the balance carried down and the balance carried what? And the balance carried forward. Yes, Samuel. Balance carried down and balance carried forward, they are the same. They are the same. You can either say balance carried down and then balance carried what? And then balance carried forward. So carried down, that is at the end of the period. Carried forward, that is at the end. That is at the end of the period. So we use balance carried down when we are balancing off the account. Then balance brought forward. We use balance brought forward when we are referring to the opening balance at the beginning of the period somewhere. Balance brought forward is used at the start, then balance carried down is used at the end of the period. At the end of the period. The same as balance brought down. Balance brought down is the same as balance brought forward. So you can either use down or forward. Okay? So the meanings are the same. Balance carried down, that is always the balance significant an account, and it becomes a brought forward at the start of the next period. At the start of the next period somewhere. So that is our cash book. Any other question, please, you can ask those other questions in case they are there. Then we see how we can conclude. That is your two-column cash book. I'll share some questions maybe for trial in the group, but that is it all. That's how we come up with a two-column cash book. Questions, if you have questions, please share them very fast. We want to conclude. Then next time, maybe we shall look at the three-column cash book. So those were the questions. Please ask them. We have 7 minutes to time. So ask your questions. Ask your questions if they are there. If they're not there, then allow me to stop here for today.
Good night.
Okay, good night you all. There are no questions. Have a good night. Have a good night.
Good night too.
Likewise, thank you for the lecture.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for the lecture.
For you.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
So much, sir.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Papa for